Hey everyone, welcome, welcome. We're gonna give a few minutes for people to roll on in and get to this interview. I'm so excited. Oh, I see the waves coming through. Hey, hey, hey. So, just in case you guys didn't know, today's interview will be featuring Simon Law, legendary producer, musician, and everything in between. Now look at all the waves coming through, everyone joining in. Hey! So we are going to give it another 2 minutes or so. We're starting around 6:30. So for those of you who have already joined me bright and early, I love it. To kind of give you a quick rundown about today's interview, we're going to be doing pretty much just an interview with Simon, talk about his career, his musical journey, and his time working with Chanté, which is great and timely considering that it is the 2nd-year anniversary of All Things Chanté Moore. And I had the pleasure of meeting Simon in person a couple weeks ago, so this is really great. Hello, hello. Thank you for joining, sending back the waves. I don't know if you guys are here, feel free to, drop it in the comments. Let us know your favorite Chanté Moore song. If you know me and you know me well enough, it's Chanté's Gone to Me, and that was the song that put me onto her, so that will be forever amazing to me. I see Simon in the chat. Amazing. Okay, so before I pull Simon on, I'm just going to do a quick disclaimer. So this fan page was created back in 2021 to celebrate the career and achievements of Chanté Moore. And pretty much this account has no affiliation with Chanté at all. It's pretty much just not even a fan page. I call it a community. It's a place where, family can come together and celebrate this beautiful songstress that we've all grown to love, whether it's been the last 30 years or the last 3 years. So if you want to interact with Chanté herself, send a DM or tag at I am Chanté Moore. She does not interact from All Things Chanté Moore. So that's just a quick disclaimer. Now that we got that out the way, I also want to thank everyone who has been rocking with us for the last 2 years. We are over 14,000 people strong in 2 years. That's crazy and mind-blowing to me. So shout outs to my girl Megan, redgal_31. She'll be popping up in the chat. So if you see her, say hi to her. I literally cannot do this fan page without her. I see her, red_gal31. How did I mess that up? That is terrible. But that's my girl. That is my partner in crime. We've been running this fan page together for the last 2 years. And we've actually never met each other. I live in Toronto, Canada. She lives in Mississippi. So that's how you know the internet just brings people together. And I'm seeing the favorites in the comments. Where You Want Me, EP 104 was amazing. Yes. So before I bring on today's guest, I'm just going to give you a quick rundown. So Simon Law is a 2-time Grammy-winning musician, songwriter, producer, DJ, and educator. He's also the original member of the UK collective Soul to Soul. So, they're well known for the song Back to Life, However Do You Want Me, which is a staple in music to this day. So without further ado, I'm going to bring our guest in and he can tell you more about himself. Let's see. Did it work? I think you got it. Hi, Simon.
Hi. Hi. Let me get this angle correct. So you're not talking to my forehead.
Right? You got it perfectly centered.
Good. Lovely to be here. And, amazing what you do with this page. Really beautiful.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate it. And you know, it's great that the fans, plus even Chanté herself, Steven, you, like producers, everyone can really just come together and celebrate her and her music, which I feel like we haven't had, there wasn't that space prior to where we can do that without spamming her personal page. So
Yeah,
it's great that we come together as one.
lovely, lovely. Yeah.
And my partners in the comments, Red Gal 31, saying hello, Simon.
Hi. Good to see you. Can you hear me okay, Natalie?
Oh, absolutely. Can you guys hear both of us okay? Let us know in the comments.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff.
Perfect. So, Simon, I'm going to let you introduce yourself to everyone who probably doesn't know you. Reintroduce to yourself who'll be like, oh my gosh, Simon Law. So the floor is yours.
Well, I originate from the UK. I moved to Canada in 2004. Yes, I'm not the original member of Soul to Soul, but I'm an original member of the collective.
Yeah.
You know, the music collective. Soul to Soul actually started as a sound system way before I was even involved. And then, you know, once they started to make music, then reached out to people like me to be involved with the helping of creating music. And my sister Joanna and me used to go to they had a club in London in the 80s called at the Africa Centre, which was a beautiful spot in Covent Garden, right in the middle of London.
Mm-hmm.
Soul to Soul's night there was pretty legendary. You know, it really was at that time the best club in London, and it was a beautiful time of when, you know, house music was emerging, hip hop was emerging. There was a rare groove scene for all the old soul. There was, you know, it was a beautiful kind of scene of all kinds of music. So when you went there, you heard everything, and very inspiring, and all about the dancing. You know, all about dancing there, like nobody. You know, Jazzy's famous thing that he would say every single Jazzy B, the founder of Soul to Soul.
Yes.
This thing with, if you're not dancing, F off. You know, he would say that several times a night. You know, so
I agree with it.
Yeah, you know, and it was rammed. There was so many people outside, as many people outside as inside.
Mm-hmm.
And, so you know, before that, my sister and I got a deal with Chrysalis Records for a song called City Heat. And that's really how I met Jazzy and got involved with that situation, because they started playing this record. And then with the success of Soul to Soul, I started, you know, because I was already a sort of producer in my own right. I started reaching out, and people were offering me work from Los Angeles, and Lul Silas, who had this new artist by the name of Chanté Moore,
Yes.
approached me to work on this record. And it was the most beautiful sort of something that was just absolutely meant to be, because I sent them music, and I think, well, I've heard Chanté just totally loved the track that I sent, and she wrote it and taken over. And we had to, when I went over there and met her and met the record company, everyone was so excited about this tune. We just found a little studio, and I remember we recorded it in really someone's home studio.
Oh, wow.
And I believe that guy's name was Greg Royal, and I wish I could find him and reach out to him, because, you know, he did such a great job recording her vocal. And when we tried to re-record the vocal, we couldn't. The energy and vibe of that original take was so special. That's what you hear on the record, you know. And I think that freshness and sort of, you know, when you write music and you write a song, you feel so excited at that time when it comes to fruition. It's a very exciting time, and often that energy and vibe that is brought to the track with the vocals, with the musicians, is very special. And when if you try and recreate it later, it can be a struggle, you know. So yeah, we kept that original vocal. It was pretty amazing.
Well, I have Look here, I'm already excited for this story because just to hear that alone, I feel like I'm trying to put myself in your shoes, dating back to that time, and it's just like, what a time that must have been. So before I get to this about Chanté and Love's Taking Over, what got you into music initially?
Well, my family, my father was an Anglican minister. My
Mhm.
mum was a professional singer. She went to the Royal Academy of Music, and I, part of my, up until the age of 7, we lived in Trinidad, and my dad had a parish in Chaguanas in Trinidad. And that time, I think, was very formative to me. My mum ran was director of a steel pan orchestra, and there's a beautiful book about the history of pan, and she's credited in there as there's pictures of Christine Law in there. You know, she kind of pioneered this idea of fusing pan with classical music, and so they were doing
Wow.
arrangements of Mozart and Beethoven and stuff. You know, and this was really kind of pretty trend setting at the time. You know, and so, you know, mum had a huge input into my musical development, really. And when we came back to England, I went into a cathedral choir, which is a pretty intense musical education. You're like
Mhm.
a professional singer, really, you know, starting at the age of 9 and till your voice breaks at 14. Uh, and so a lot of my early music education came from there. But even then, I was starting to gravitate towards sort of funk and soul, and I think a sort of a Caribbean kind of vibe in the music was something that really just called to me always, you know. And I just got so interested in that music, and I was already starting to kind of write songs, and I'm a drummer first and foremost. Actually, people know me for playing keys, but I'm a drummer first of all, and a singer as well. So you know, it just all kind of started to coalesce. I trained as a teacher actually, and I did teaching for a little while, but I got frustrated being a teacher because I knew my heart wasn't really in it, and it's not good being a teacher if your heart's not in teaching 30 kids you've got, you know.
Yeah.
So I kind of decided, right, I have to stop that and see how if I can make something happen in the music business. And luckily things did happen quite quickly,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, and then, you know, via Soul to Soul, that's how I got hooked up with Chanté, and then did all this lovely work with her.
Amazing. So I was looking online and it said that you're actually the co-writer for Back to Life.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
how did that come about?
we wrote the you know the key members of the group at that point were Jazzy B,
Mm-hmm.
Wheeler the singer, Nelly Hooper, producer, and me.
Oh.
And we wrote that song together. Yeah, yeah.
So what was like the inspiration?
Say again?
What was the inspiration behind like the lyrics and just like the melodies? Because that's one of those songs where you can play at any time. If you don't know any other word, you definitely know Back to Life and Back to Reality, and you just start grooving.
Mm, yeah, I mean, it's a fascinating evolution, that song. It's a curious song because it went through different stages. Like originally,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people, especially more sort of hip hop orientated people, are familiar with also with a version of the song that's on, well, it was on the UK album, and I think you can have it's here on the Canadian version in the United States. There's the two versions, but on the UK album, on the album version, there is not the single, the song that everyone knows as Back to Life. There is the original version, which is the a cappella version, which is still,
Oh wow.
are you ready? What's going down? You know,
Mm-hmm.
that has different verse to it, a different verse arrangement. It has the same chorus, the same bridge. So we started with that, and some of the lyrics were originally Jazzy's lyrics, and then Karen got involved with the lyric writing.
Mm-hmm.
And after Keep On Moving became a big hit, we had to find another song to follow that up. So we worked on Back to Life and redid it, and Karen wrote the words for the verses, which is what everyone knows as now as back to life, back to reality.
See, I can't
So
sing like
a
this.
bunch of changes that song, you know, a very kind of circuitous route. But you know, I often say to people that there are no rules in songwriting, really. You know, as soon as you set a rule down, someone will come along and say, yeah, but this was a hit and that happened in this way, you know. So I think that's a perfect example of a song which, you know, in its initial idea was this beautiful a cappella, which led into Jazzy's Groove, which is this incredible kind of statement really about what Soul to Soul is. That finishes the album. Yes. And then they, you know, we all kind of got together and sort of made it into a single, a song in its own right, you know, rather than a lead. So yeah, you know, but it was a lovely time, very energized, very, London was, we were all tuned into the same wavelength of positivity and trying to uplift and, you know, bring a loving message. Well, the Soul to Soul's slogan is, you know, a smiling face, a thumping bass for a loving race, you know.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and it's true.
Yeah.
That's what we're all about, you know.
And I think this just, again, proves to you, based on like your history growing up with music from soul to soul, where you are now, that music, in a sense, where they say has no boundary, has no color line. So everyone's just able to come together and really enjoy it for what it is. And that's, I think, what I love most about it.
Yes, it's I couldn't agree more, Natalie. Like and I think you know, these days when there's so much kind of division in the world, music is very, very powerful and transformative tool, you know. And I urge all my fellow musicians to dedicate their kind of their efforts towards bringing people together. You know, it's very important. Yeah,
I love it. Oh my gosh! See, I just love hearing the musical history. And speaking about musical history, we have our special guest for you that's joining us today. I see she's connecting. So while we wait for Chanté to join us, I actually want to.
Oh my God, Chanté's coming as well.
She is.
Oh, come on now. Oh my God, really? That's lovely.
But before we break her on, I actually want to say, aside from Chanté, because you've worked with a handful of people, so let us know who else you've worked with or who you would want to work with.
Ooh. Wow. Well, who I'd want with, that list is endless.
Ooh.
So I won't go there right now. But I have one of the very special experiences I've had in my life through music was I worked with the late, very great Lucky Dubé, who was a reggae artist from South Africa, who sadly was murdered actually quite a long time ago. So God rest his soul and rest in peace, Lucky. But I had such an amazing experience in South Africa, and I love reggae music very much. You know, I worked a lot with Maxi. I've worked with Sly and Robbie and a lot of reggae artists, and reggae was a very important input into Soul to Soul's music, and still is.
Oh.
So to be in Africa working with Lucky and his band was just it was very, very special, and impacted me and influenced me hugely. You know, his spirit and his all his songs were about and you know, after the emerging after the awful situation of apartheid and everything, his songs were hopeful and about bringing people together and finding common humanity, you know. And he was a very courageous artist and amazing man, and so that was one of the real highlights of my career. I worked with JT Taylor, who everyone knows is the voice of Kool and the Gang.
Yes.
And I'm actually going to be doing some more stuff with JT fairly soon, which is incredibly exciting because he is his voice is extraordinary. I mean, it's just, you know, a beautiful human being too. And lots of people from my sister Joanna Law, amazing singer. A lot of people know the song we did together. Well, many songs we did together, but the one that was maybe the most successful is called "First Time Ever I Saw Your Face." That was and it's been sampled many, many times. I don't know, lots of people. My mind is going a bit mushy now. There's been a lot of people. I've been at this for a long time, Natalie. You know?
And that shows your longevity. That shows the talent, the creativity.
Yeah. I feel like I've got a second wind of creativity at this point in my life. Well, no, I'll say it because it's like my dear mum passed away just before Christmas. She was such an important kind of the musical heritage that I inherited from her.
Yes.
Was so profound and deep that I feel like since she passed, I just been flooded with inspiration, and it's like I can only think that she's somehow, you know, speaking to me. I don't know. It's extraordinary, but
yeah,
feel reinvigorated almost, you know. So that's another way that music can work, right? Across between peoples and races, but I think also between lifetimes and generationally, and it's across all dimensions. Music, it's very profound in that way, you know.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that. I have to ask you about a personal favorite for me though, because I've seen that you also credit a lot with Maxi Priest. So how was that?
Oh, Maxi's a very good mate. You know, he's we all looked up to Maxi, like Jazzy and all of us. You know, he already had big hits in the 80s, and he was an artist who was really true to his roots. I saw him when I was a student at Reggae Sunsplash in Crystal Palace in South London. You know, like, and he was a superstar. Like, and then I end up working with him. You know, it's and counting him as a friend. It's like it's incredible how music sort of just, I don't know. You know, you just end up working with people who you never imagined you'd even get to meet, let alone sit down and write songs with. You know.
Oh, that's amazing.
But he's incredible, and he's another person with extraordinary longevity. You know, he's out performing and constantly, and he was just in Vancouver at a big festival there. You know, Maxi's incredible. I'm sure we'll be doing some more music before too long. Yeah, always.
I'll be looking out for it. So now I want to we're going to transfer over to some more Chanté directed questions. So just for you guys who are joining us, so Simon Law is pretty much, I say, the most credited producer for Love's Taking Over, because I did see a couple other names, but let's be honest.
Well, you know, yes, it's the other person is Lee Hamblin, who was my co-producer at that time. And Lee and I did a lot of stuff together, and so yeah, like we did. I've always had a co-producer. You know, I'm all about collaboration, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Get like different perspective and a second ear going in.
Sure. And he was a very talented audio engineer as well. So I sort of had more of the musical input. He had more of the kind of input of the shaping of the sound and the mixing, you know, which is an art in itself.
Yes, absolutely. So just to run down the list, we have Love's Taking Over. You also helped with the production of the Quiet Storm version. The intro on A Love Supreme. This Time, My Special Perfect One, Free Sail On, I Want to Thank You, Am I Losing You, and Blooming Flowers. So I feel like we need to like really address that. It's been her first 3 albums. So what was just as an entirety, how was that experience?
Oh, you know, it was extraordinary because the first record, the bulk of the first album of Chanté's was produced by a real hero of mine, George Duke.
Yes.
So, and then when they came to that was extraordinary. And I remember she called him up so I could say hi, and I was just like, I think I was just quite shy, really. I was like, to your hero, but George Duke, oh my God, where do you begin? But then when the second album came to be made, Lul Silas, who ran the record label, reached out to me and to send some ideas. So I sent a whole bunch of ideas, and a lot of those, oh my God, there she is.
Hi, Simon. Hi, Natalie. Hi, everybody.
That's
So for you
just had to get on and say hello.
That's so sweet, Chanté. Thanks. Oh, I love you very much.
I love you. You know that I love you, Simon. I heard you talking about Lee, and he was wonderful too. We had so much fun in the studio. We should have done more. And it's funny how each album turned into other things. And I think that's something that I can say that I love how much I learned in the studio with you guys, because I learned how to be true to myself. I learned how to try to regroup and figure out if that's the best way to go or not the best way to go, and then to go back to being true to myself. You are an amazing producer, but
music is so.
You're even more amazing. Go ahead.
Music is. I love what you said, because music, there's a lot of pressures always, and coming a lot of people around, and so a lot of things. But you have to find this way to be true to yourself, and it's a sort of a skill which you develop, because I totally understand that. And I was saying earlier how on our first song that we worked on, Love's Taken Over, we went to, I think his name was Greg Royal, and he had a little home studio.
It sounds familiar.
And we went to this place, Back and Beyond, and the magic was there, and we kept that vocal because it was so special. The energy, the passion was there,
I think we sang in his living room, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was just like some curtains up, and that was about it.
Yep.
Yeah. And I love the initial recordings, because I'm not good at rehearsing stuff. Like, I'm good at practicing a little bit, but rehearsing, when I start singing, I'm like, I'm giving it all. I'm giving it all. I'm giving it all right this minute. And so it's hard to recreate that. I remember with This Time, I wanted to keep those background vocals, and it was so hard. We had to figure out how to sample them and then put them in, and then I had to go, well, This Time was separate because we couldn't get it without the music. And it was just so many little things we tried to do, making sure we stayed true to the song and to the feeling that happened. And I just love that your music has always taken me on a journey. Like, as soon as it comes on, I have to be ready with my pen, because the first time I hear it, not the second time I hear it, but the first time, because it's going to take me somewhere, and I want to write it right away. I want to get it right away. And I love that about who you are as a person, that our energies, they're always in sync. I loved having seen you when I was in Toronto. Honestly, it was too long. And so we have purposed, everybody in the world who cares, that we're not going to let that much time go by ever again, as people, as friends, and as musicians. Like, this is the year we were making new music. We've already begun, sending each other tracks and things like that. And I know I owe you a scratch vocal of something.
But I'm one of the real joys of my life is receiving, Chanté's ideas on something that I've done. Now that is I can't describe to you folks listening, what an exciting thing that is, because it was in the early days, but now with our history, like there's a song on my record called Higher. When Chanté sent it to me, I was crying, man. I was just like, oh my God, what is this? Oh,
it's so beautiful. We need to make sure that's on my record. But I like my version of it better with your guy on it. But I don't like that little slow part, that thing that goes a little to the left, I
Wait,
think, and then it comes back.
Sunday? I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that part. There's a musical thing that changes. There's a musical like switch up thing, and I'm like, don't put that on mine. Mm-mm. Leave that out because it interrupts my groove.
Okay.
Don't interrupt my groove.
Okay. No.
But I love the guy's voice on it. I love all that the oohs and the things he puts underneath it. It's like he's being played by the piano. Like people put their voices on the piano, on the keyboards, and and the harmonies are so tight. It's beautiful.
That's Lane Gray, and he was in the UK gospel group New Colours. Some might know that. And Lane and I go way back, like not quite as far back as Chanté and I, but nearly. And we've just developed this. He now lives in Houston. Actually, we used to live very close to each other in South London. He's a Londoner, but he lives in Houston now, and I'm in Toronto. How weird is that?
Wow.
He is a very, very close. We're very synced, so I totally trust him. I say, Lane, can you just nice this up? And I'm hearing this or that, and he gets it immediately, and there's no big.
Oh, that's awesome. No, he nailed it big time. And I'm like, if it wasn't good, I would have said.
Of course.
I would have said something. But it felt so perfect. It felt like, I felt it more than I heard it.
Yeah.
Like I was thinking, did I miss that before? It was just so perfectly.
I wanted it to be
in the
like
music.
an instrument in there,
Yeah, it was.
And that's the whole song was very. Well, your whole thing in that is you're the wings to take me higher. The whole thing kind of floats. It never settles on the root note. It just sort of hovers, and it seems to lift off and then come down a bit and then lift off again. And it's so lovely the way you found that in the music and put the words to it. You're the wings to take me higher. It's beautiful. I love your. I think you're such a talented lyricist.
You make me comfortable.
Agreed.
Thank you. I appreciate that because it's about having confidence that you can do it in the moment. Sometimes people have a different way of approaching a song, and it can make one insecure. We were talking about that the other day, how people, when you sing, like I don't sing that gospel, the Kiki Shear and that, those kind of like really strong gospel kind of approaches to music. It's nothing near what I do. And the hard and the best part is to get your lane and stay in it. It doesn't mean you don't take from those things and the influences that they have, but you can't get confused about who you are as a vocalist or as an entertainer or as a writer. And I know everyone has to struggle with that place of just knowing it's okay to just be you and do it your way and have people around you that keep reinforcing and keeping that, being the wings that take you higher, because honestly, it really is about that lifting and that it's okay. Try it. It doesn't have to be perfect, but let's just try it. Just try it. And that's the beauty. That's the beauty. And that's how you get the magic.
I've always loved that you really, you'll write a melody and you honor the melody very, very deeply. And I've worked with many incredible, extraordinarily talented artists and singers, and the melody is almost like a thing to be played with. But I think the melody, Quincy Jones said melody is the voice of God, and you have a melody, be very, very, really respectful of this melody, it's a thing that really touches people. Lots of, and boy, what can do extraordinary gymnastics with your voice and blow everyone away. But when it comes back down to it, the song is a melody.
Yeah, I'm in a car
and it's conveying that, and
we're my wife and I.
And I'm going to tell you that you're going to hear Steven talking in the background, my husband. So we're both live. He's on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. So you're going to hear his voice intermittently between our conversation. We couldn't help it.
I thought it
Couldn't change things.
He nailed Ike Turner. Oh my
God,
he nailed
wasn't
Ike
that the
Turner.
best? That was great. We were Ike and Tina. He was perfect. He has the perfect
He
voice for
does.
that. We have so much fun. Oh my God. And we love to karaoke. That's something, I don't
That
think
was
it's a secret, but
funny.
something that is really, really fun. We need to get him on the album.
Basso profundo.
That just hit me just now. He would love that. If we had a way to get him, like how I Love Supreme, how we were listening to A Love Supreme. And when we were listening, we were making that song, we heard that voice go, A Love
You need
Supreme.
a proper bass singer for that. Yeah.
We might
That's
need.
very good. I'm totally up for that. Holy smokes, of course.
Yeah.
You don't have to be saying, hey, can you do that with a little more feeling?
My pleasure. And we're on the way.
Nope. Don't have to say
I'm
that.
driving.
If I say, hey, dude, can you just tone down the feeling a little bit?
Yeah, no, maybe that. You might have to say that, maybe. But it probably won't happen. No, we always go, turn up the cool, babe. Just be cool. Just be cool. He's like, okay. Because my friend, Queen Cora, she's so cool. Like everything she does, she just always like, I don't know if you know Queen Cora Dunham. She's a drummer. She's amazing drummer. But one time we went to Napster. I think Napster. I think it's called Napster. Anyway, the music thing, and I had my badge and everything. And I was all proud, and it was all in the front. And she was like, "If you don't tie that on your purse or something," she said, "you need to turn up your cool. Just turn up your cool." And I was like, "Oh, I gotta turn it up. Okay, hold on. Let me shake off the goofy because I'm not cool. I'm really not cool." So I would go, do like Cora said. Now turn out cool. Turn out cool. Come on. And we get to get cool.
Actually, you can see how much fun this woman is.
I feel like I absolutely just love this conversation right now.
It makes music the easiest thing in the world.
So much fun. You know what I love too? I wanted to also mention how much fun I had listening to the music to Am I Losing You? When it first came on, I remember the moment I heard it, it made me sad. Like I was not sad at that time at all. And that's what I love is that the journey of music, it's not just about writing where you are. It is about extracting from the music a feeling and a mood that matches with the sound of whatever you're listening to. And I love when that song came on, I just started like, just going up like, oh my God. It made me think how lonely I might feel. Like sometimes we question the relationship when you're in love. We don't always say it out loud. It's like, I wonder if they're thinking about not being with me. You know, and you the insecurity
Which
thing.
of us haven't felt that where, oh boy, things seems to have shifted. I mean, that song is quite, I mean, I remember going back a step further. I remember doing that track and I just, you sometimes
Not if it was free
get
food.
into this.
Not if it was free food.
Where you just create an atmosphere, and it almost made itself. It just, I hardly thought about it.
Simon, I think we lost your.
That's hilarious.
Am I still there?
Oh, you're back.
The thing came up and said my battery's going to run out, so I'm just plugging in here. Hang on.
Oh, plug in. That's definitely happening.
And yeah, and then so that I wanted to send you something different. So I sort of thought, yeah, this probably won't get used, but I just throw something different in. And then when I heard the song, it's a very different type of tune. And back then, I remember Lul saying there was a song from Sade's album.
Yes.
Called
the diamonds.
It's about a woman.
I was a woman in Somalia. Yes, it made me feel that way too.
And then that's what inspired us, encouraged us to put all the strings on it. And that's a lovely example of sort of everybody kind of working together in this beautiful way. And Am I Losing You? It's just a universal emotion, that everyone can feel. And we have those anxieties, you know, and you want to feel connected with
Yeah.
someone, but you're unsure, you know.
It's vulnerable. That's the thing, you know. That's part of being in love is it's not fear exactly, but the vulnerability can make you feel full.
Yeah.
But you have to be brave. You got to just be brave and hold on tight.
My partner, you met Jen when you were on.
Yes, I do.
We just heard this lovely thing. Now, who was it who said it? Oh, it's Brené Brown, who is the amazing lady who writes about vulnerability. And she says her and her husband, she said, it's, you know, a marriage, a partnership is never 50-50. It's always sort of, it's not 50-50. That's really not the case. And often it's all over the place. So they've got into this thing where they talk to each other and they say, so what's your percentage today? And, you know, some people say,
yes, I think you might have said that to me. Yes, I saw that interview.
Well,
I'm at 10 today.
I'm really not, I'm not going to be not much good friending today. But the other person might be good, in a good place, 70%. But, you know, some days you're both going to be 10%. So you got to then make a bit of a plan, you know.
Space. Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was so
I'm
powerful,
learning that.
you know.
It is. It is.
Very understanding of of humanity, you know, and how we are.
And the honesty that it takes, and the trust that it takes to actually say that and not feel like they're going to judge you or pull out because you're not 100%. Yeah, and sometimes I'm learning that because everyone is different, you know, and Stephen and I have such a great friendship already initially, and then to now be a married couple, it's like we're learning. Okay, you wake up this way. He wakes up and he's like, "Hey, beautiful," and I'm like, "Hey, babe." It takes me a while. It takes me a while to get my voice, like, because I sound like Barry White a little bit when I wake up. Like,
oh man, I have.
But
to
it just takes me a while.
I gotta record that.
My morning voice. It's not cute. It could be sexy if depending on what I'm saying. I'm not really sure, but I'm usually like, "Hey, baby, I'm good." And he's like, "My baby," and he's just so loving, and I'm just like, "Yeah, I love you too." But then, you know, what was great is I can always count on it. And he can always count on me, like coming around. It's like, "Oh, you awake now? Okay, good. All right, super."
That's lovely.
It's a wonderful.
Oh my goodness.
I'm talking to you.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing? I'm just thinking, you know, isn't it amazing? I feel so grateful more and more nowadays that I've been able to do music for most of my life, and I can find ways to sort of share ideas and things within songs, and you know, and communicate them instead of just sort of telling people stuff. You know, you find ways to sort of pass things that you've learnt on yourself, you know, in song, and things that you just pick up. I think that's such a beautiful blessing for music making, you know, and you know. So
that just means you have to send me a real moody song I can wake up and sing it.
Yeah.
When you wake up, like, I just do like,
"Oh, baby." And then after that, we'll do this album. Chanté Moore sings the songs of Barry White.
Yes.
Not sure how that's gonna work. I don't know. But we'll try. We'll try
She
something.
sang all these vocals before 8 a.m. every morning.
Oh my God, it would be horrible. It would be very linear.
I'd be this guy turning up at 7 o'clock every morning and sticking a microphone in your face.
I will say he has recorded me snoring. I haven't heard it
I'm
yet.
a terrible snorer, apparently.
I didn't think I snored at all. But clearly, lately, I'm a snorer.
I went camping with my two sons, and they actually left the tent and went and slept in the car because I was snoring so loud.
I do have earplugs, though. Don't tell anybody, though.
Unfortunately, we've told the internet. So
I know the whole internet. But everybody be quiet. Don't tell anyone else. Just between 5 of us.
Yeah, you know. Elon Musk and what's the other fella's name? The
I
guy
don't know.
they're gonna wrestle, aren't they? They're gonna have a fight in the octagon or something.
No, we hope
Billionaires.
not.
What are
We
you gonna
hope
do?
not. Nothing. Be ourselves. It doesn't affect us at all. I don't think they're
No.
concerned. It'd be great if they were. That'd be nice. So I don't want to interrupt everything. What else y'all talking
I
about?
read
Go
the
ahead.
comment. I just want to. I'm going back a bit because one thing brought up
Okay.
that I feel like you don't get enough credit for is your songwriting.
Yeah.
Your
Is my what writing?
songwriting. We say the singer, the singer. I'm like, you guys have to look at the penmanship, look at the lyrical content.
Yes.
Yeah, I will say that almost all the singles I've had, I've written or co-written with someone. From Love Taking Over, It's Alright. Those I wrote a lot. Yeah, all the singles. Old School Love. And,
All your lyrics, all your melodies. Yep. I think
yeah, and that's beautiful.
that's a beautiful thing, and I think, you know what I do. Do you think this, Chanté? Like I think we're in a time when people are sort of rediscovering some of the artists, and you'd be one of these people who have really, there's such a lovely, there's such a consistency of quality and of art in the music, and that, you know, that it's not been following all the trends and just trying to sort of, you know, there's this beautiful consistency of craftsmanship, and I just and people are sort of, a lot more people are paying more attention to that now.
No, but it's a scientific fact. I don't know if you know, it's a scientific fact that
I think there is a
rappers have the best
resurgence.
eyesight.
I think that there is
Everybody,
the focus
BET
that is
Awards this past
happening
weekend is
with
like 2015
even like
eyesight because
doing the
it
Tiny
was
Desk
nothing but
with
sunglasses.
Babyface
Yes,
and with Avery Wilson
exactly.
and Tank,
Yeah.
you know, just being able to be a part of that, I think has made
They're like, what's the license
waves,
plate of that
you know,
car?
and an impact on just focus. Sometimes we get so much happening at the same time, and it's hard to say I like this one. Sometimes it's just songs and not people, and I think that's really seems like the difference. Now I really think about it, it might be the difference in what was and what is. Like if you have a hit song, oh my God, they're huge. You may not even know it's Little Everybody, a Baby This, and I don't even know all the babies and littles that there are, but I miss the artists that make the impact. Some of them have made great impacts because, you know, after a few albums they become household names because of their songs and music. But I really believe that the time that it was taken before about artist development and really putting thought to, okay, that producer with that person. I'm not sure everyone thinks of it, and it seems like it's something that went away, but maybe it didn't, because it could just be there's so much music and there's so much happening so fast that I miss it. I miss there's new artists that I've never heard of that I'm like, they're at the BET Awards winning, and I'm going, oh,
I know.
my first
Yeah,
time.
there is an overwhelming amount of music, and that's just, well, you couldn't keep up with it all. And I'm just, you know, somebody will tell me something, and I've stopped thinking now that I really should know about this. I can't know about everything. I'm just grateful if somebody turns me on, and somebody new that I've never heard of.
Yeah.
You know, there was a time when I feel really bad that I didn't know about this artist. You know, wow, I'm not paying attention enough. But you simply can't now. It's like you can't keep up. There's so much, you know, and there are extraordinary. You know, Tank and the Bambas, that song which they've just done. Oh my God, unbelievable!
Taking the Bambas. You got to
Tank
send me
and the
that. I got to
Bangers.
check it
Yeah,
out.
it's
Bangers.
oh, what's
Okay.
the song? Their latest song is just stunning beyond belief, and
Wow.
you know, it's like, and I was not aware of them, and I'm thinking, God, how did I miss that? They've been going for years, you know.
Yeah. And I think with my kids, when they were younger, when they lived at home, I knew more current things because they played in the car. I was driving before they were driving. When I got in their car, then they played what they want. And when they got in my car, I was like, now that you're old, no, I'm not playing that. But it was a time where I got to hear what was current because they were young, so they were always
Yeah,
listening to
that's
something
true.
new.
That's true.
And they still send me stuff. They're like, "Mom, you listen to stuff from 1974," and it's true. I have the same, like, I add to the playlist a little bit, but yeah, I listen to a lot of the old, and because it makes me feel good. Those are the other things, is that music used to just put me in a mood. And if I'm sad, I can put on something that makes me happier. Because when I'm down, I got this up tempo, happy gospel and some other stuff on there too. But I put on something that lifts my spirit. Natalie has seen it happen. We were waiting for something to happen, and I really knew that I had to perform that evening, and I had to get in a place where I didn't lose my joy,
Yeah,
because sometimes things
yeah,
happen and you have control.
yeah,
And as a performer, when it's my show, I'm paying attention and I'm on time. I don't make my
Not
people
be the
wait
first time
unless
today.
something happened that was, it was unavoidable. That's different. But as I was waiting, I had no control over what was going on, but we waited for hours and hours with an S on it. It was quite uncomfortable. And I could feel myself going to a place
yeah,
where it wasn't a good
yeah,
place. So when I'm in that place, I put worship music on, whether up tempo or down. I just was like, we'll put my headphones on or whatever y'all want to hear too. Okay, great. So I just totally went in worship mode and was just singing and kept myself in a place, because the thing you have to remember as an artist is no matter what happens to you before you get on stage, whoever's out there listening, they don't know.
no,
They can't
no,
know.
no,
Whether you're late, early, whatever the reasons are, they don't know. So if you go on there with an attitude, all they go is, Shonda got an attitude. That's all they'll know.
Mm.
So I had to make sure I kept myself in a place where it was, what I would give you, what I really want to give you. And I don't want to give you the residue of the last 4 hours. I want to give you, I want to give a purity of my heart and smile for
yeah,
real. So I
yeah,
had to keep myself in that place. But that's what music does for me. And I was really talking to Babyface about that, and that he received an Impact Award last night. And it was just wonderful to actually talk to him afterward and really talk about how even uh, oh God, the man sings, shoot, I know it if I said it, it's gonna come back to me. But someone introduced him, and they were talking about how if you are in love, you got a Babyface song, and if you're sad, you got a Babyface song. There's a breakup, there's a Babyface song, and if you're having sex with somebody, you have a good love thing, you're like, oh, there's a Babyface song for that. And it's like every mood in our that we can have, we can put on a Babyface song, and it's so bananas. We're like, that is so
pretty
true. But
remarkable.
he is a
Yeah,
great writer. And I love how just timing is putting us in the same place all the time. So you can look out for something wonderful to happen there too. I'm so excited about my life right now. Just awesome. But honestly, that's what's wonderful about music and timing and timelessness, is that it's not about it's too late. There's never too late. As
never.
long as you have the gift, as long as you feel that desire, and Simon, I love the way that you're morphing, and there's things that have happened in your life that have changed some of your sounds, but I think those are beautiful things. And I think working with you and having the things that have happened to both of us, from people that we love passing on, relationships ending and beginning, and us getting more and more seasoned.
Yeah, yeah,
Those things will bring another
yeah.
sound, another feeling,
Another
another
evolution,
wave.
I'm totally sure of that. And this is such a beautiful. I feel like I'm 62 this year. It's like I'm getting
Oh,
on, man. But
yeah. Wow.
I feel like this spirit that I sort of had in the early days. Where
Mm.
you feel so inspired. And I was, before you came on, I was mentioning to Natalie when Mum passed, who played such a big role musically for me.
Yeah.
It feels like I'm just receiving a lot of stuff at the moment. It's coming to me. It's just coming to me. And I
Mm.
just I just think my mum has got something to do with that. She's just saying,
Oh, yeah.
Simon, your time is not up yet. Come on.
No.
There's all these things, and there's that,
So,
and there's that.
yeah.
And it's a really
And I love that.
strong flow.
I love that. when you talk about it, you say "mom," and that's when I really know your accent when it's coming in. But what you guys don't know, it made me think earlier. The reason why he's called the Funky Ginger is when I first met Simon, he had bright red hair, and his locks, literally locks, were down to his butt. So he was this cool, skinny redhead who had these grooves that drove me banana. I was like, how is this coming out of this white dude? It
I've
was
had that
so
all my
cool, but
life.
he was the Funky Ginger. I was like, and it was funny that you don't know, I'm also a natural redhead. Like when my hair was all red, and as I got older, my hair was not red anymore, but I was redhead.
Wow.
Natural redhead. Stay there, we're learning
Well,
new things about
I
each
don't
other.
know, for some, this might be old hat to some people hearing, but the reason I called myself the Funky Ginger was Soul to Soul and all those guys for the longest time were the Funky Dreads. And, you know, I got involved and I was doing all this work with them. What the hell am I going to call myself? I'm not a Funky Dread. I'm a Funky Ginger, you know. So
I
that's
love
where it
it.
came from. And I remember when I first
Wow.
told them that, they were just dying, you know. It's kind of funny, but the
I
name
love
has
it.
stuck.
It's a good name and it's perfect for you. It was perfect. It was like, I know more
The
gingers,
only
but
ginger
still
now is here. The rest is
a little
all
bit.
white.
On my arm, I've got. You could see it in the sunshine, and that's about it. But you're gonna have to be looking for it like with a magnifying glass. It's all true. But what thing do you think would you want to be remembered for? If, and one day we all gotta go. But when you're gone, what is it that you want people to really remember about you as a person and as an artist?
Wow, that's a big question.
I know it is.
Well, as often when I think about music, my mentor, and I did manage to I was asked to work with, and it was a huge privilege working with Maurice White. And I so often think of Maurice and just everything I learned from listening to all his music. And and the 2 weeks that I spent writing music with him, you know, that I've tried to make music to bring people together. I've tried to make music that he called Earth, Wind and Fire's music medicine. You know, he wanted to make his actual words was, I wanted to render a service unto mankind.
Yeah.
And I really hope that that's what I would like to remember, that I've tried to do that, you know, with my music. Yeah. To bring people together, to make healing music, you know.
And you've done that. You really have done that. If you listen to the songs, especially, you know, that was the first exposure I had to you of you was from Soul to Soul, and that really, all of that was all about back to life. I used to open with that. I used to mix that with Love's Taken Over, by the way.
I didn't know that.
I used to do that. Yeah, I absolutely used to do it.
Wow.
Because it, to me, makes sense. Because it's back to reality. It's like back to all the things that we love about music. And sometimes you gotta, and then however do you want me? However do you need me? It just all worked to me. And the first time I heard it, I was roller skating. I was living in Sacramento at the time, and I was outside roller skating, and I was listening to the radio in my ears, and that song came on. I was like, you know, it just hits in a way that I'll never forget. But I love that the lyrical content, if you just got past the music and heard what you guys were singing about, the other one was, it was the next one that was, it was a political, shoot, my brain is,
Keep on moving. You're not thinking of Keep on Moving?
No, not Keep on Moving.
Yeah.
Keep on Moving for sure. But there was another one after that. It was about being conscious in the world. Jeez, I
Get a
forgot
Life.
what it was called.
Get a Life.
Maybe that was it. What's the chorus
the
to that?
meaning? What's the meaning of
What's
life?
the meaning?
What's the meaning?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's really what you guys really did, like hammer that. The beat was great, but listen, listen and learn. And sometimes I listen to songs and it's a great beat, and then I go, "What they talking
Yeah,
about? What did they say?"
not
And
really
it
about
will
anything.
throw me
Yeah,
off.
yeah,
Yeah, well, they're talking
yeah,
about something.
yeah.
But I believe that that would be what I would remember of you. And do you feel the same as music with the personhood? Is it the same for you?
Sorry, say that again. I lost that
Leave
bit.
with us.
No.
Did I go out?
Yeah, you
Yeah, just say that again, Chanté.
I was saying, I know that was what you said you wanted to leave with us musically. Is it the same personally? Is the same answer?
Um, yeah, I think so because you know, yeah, I hope that I haven't always managed to do it, bring people together, but I hope I've been able to sort of be a generous, loving person and an accepting, open person, you know, um, and tried to bridge gaps always, you know, and I still to this day I really don't do well with conflict. It really kind of throws me off. You know, some people are much better at dealing with conflict, but it's still, I'm working on that, you know, because there is conflict. You can't avoid conflict in life, you know, but
No, you can't.
yeah, you know.
Those are the things that we go to counseling for. We really do. We have marriage counseling that we go to before we got married, and still, because there has to be conflict resolution, because it's
Right.
never going to be always
Yeah.
on the same
Yeah.
page. We have to, and if you're on a different page, let's just keep turning until we find the other
Yeah.
page.
Yeah. It's true.
Because we want to stay happy.
There is always a way forward, you know. When things get polarized and so entrenched that you can't even sit down and talk, that's really gone. That shouldn't happen ever, because there's always a way forward if you can stop. You know, it's all about stopping really and pausing. And I've learned a lot about that. I've been in a lot of therapy myself over the years, and I've learned such a lot, you know. And I recommend. I'm a big therapy advocate. I recommend it big time for everybody. You know.
Me too. And find the right
Yeah,
one. Don't give
sure.
up, because I think that's what's happened is we find people and they just let us talk, and it's just yep. They go, all right, well, thank you. We'll be seeing you next week at the same time. It's like, I could have deal with that with my friends for free. I want you to pay attention, and that's what I love about Tracy Terrace. If you guys don't know, if you haven't look on my page, she's really good at listening to what I'm saying, watching my body language, pointing out something that maybe I brushed over or said just because I keep saying it the same way, and she points it out and she goes, okay, let's go back to that.
Yeah.
Let's dig that out. And I think that's the thing with relationships that we have to do. Is sometimes you go, okay, because Stephen makes a lot of faces, I make a lot of faces, and I think that is something we have to learn. I'm like, okay, does that face mean you're happy, or are you sad, are you disturbed, is that a thought going by, or what is it? And we both go, oh no, I was just thinking about this, or actually I was thinking, and it's that paying attention to the body language and being brave enough to say, hey, did I hurt you, or did I say something offensive? What is it? Caring enough to take the moment. And I think that is all part of how we continue actually to be creative, is not let you get backed up, because if you let it all get backed up, the flow won't happen. It won't happen.
It's very forced, and then that's that I find these days. I'm a big meditator too, and I recommend that if no one's really tried it or is just starting. Meditation is a very beautiful thing, and it's just a journey. It's not like you should get good at it. It's like I'm still struggling. I have some really awful meditations sometimes where I'm really not calm at all, but it's okay. It's just the doing, and just doing it and having a bit of a practice, because when you're quiet with yourself, you can really connect to the universal consciousness that's in every single one of us, in every single thing in the whole universe, and you feel it. You start to feel it, you know, and you know, polarization, fighting, violence, bad language, I don't know, just, you know, opposition. It all seems to kind of, it all seems a bit pointless. Like really,
It takes away from
we are one, you know, it's at a very profound level. And I think you can only really feel and start to sense that when you're really quiet, you know. And I've learned that in the last few years of my life, and it's and now it's kind of impacting the music, and that's coming out in the music more. And yeah, it's beautiful. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, and I want to also recommend because sometimes I definitely am running fast lately, especially is turning your phone off. Not like so all off as in powered off, but sometimes power off. Even that can give you a different feeling.
For sure.
Silencing that, and then the other thing I love to do is just put my feet in the water, and sometimes I don't mean in a bathtub. I mean like if you have a pool or if you're by the ocean, and even if it's not that, just go outside. There's grass outside. I put my face up to the sun and just feel it. It just, there's something about that is so peaceful to me. And I think we hustle and we work so hard. Well, I hustle and work so hard, but I think we all have our different hustles, and I think that slowing down sometimes and just being grateful, counting your blessings. I used to sing that song, Count Your Blessing, name them one by one, journaling. It really is something that I need to get back to, because it wasn't something. I have like 14 journals, like since I was a kid. I have all the journals I have, and they're going to be really, really scary when my kids go through those after I'm gone, because I wrote in them really honestly. And anytime I've ever dated anybody, I'm like, if you read my journal, good luck. Hope you can handle the truth, because the raw truth is in my journal, and I don't change it or twist it or color code thinking that someone is going to hear it or read it. It has to be an honest, true thing that comes out. And so I think those kind of things help us release the tension. And I'm preaching to myself right now, because I really need to get back to journaling. And as we're in the writing process, I'm gonna do that as well, because it definitely, that's how my writing happened. I started writing, just journaling, and then it was journaling became poetry, and the poetry became songs.
Yes, I didn't know this about you, but it's not at all surprising, because I feel your writing has got this kind of depth to it. It always has, and it's just it's the way of expressing something that resonates to the listener. You can kind of people get away with doing stuff and it works and whatever, but there's these little nuances, and I've become more attuned to it now, the lyricists who are able to do this. And it's not surprising that it's kind of was born out of that kind of practice of journaling and writing down what you're going through. And then some of this emerges into poetry. Of course it does,
Absolutely. And sometimes it's just a line too. That's how Love the Woman came out. I remember I started crying. That popped out when I was journaling, just going through my journal, and I started crying. It was a time I started crying, and I started writing about things that made me cry. And that's a song with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis that I wrote called I Started Crying. And those things they're just triggers, those real life things that happen.
Other human beings immediately relate. It's quite interesting, because you can sort of think, wow, is this too much? Is this too close to the bone? But
it is. But that's what it's about. Yeah. What's funny, I say that when you said that, is it too close? Is it too much? And that is to me the fear of my son, Kenny Lattimore Jr. We call him KJ. But he wants to be an artist. Well, he is an artist. He sings background with his dad, and he's out there and he's doing it. And my fear for him being in the industry was and is that you have to have this hard exterior because people shoot so much. They shoot so hard at the artist. Not always the writer or the producer, but the person who's in the front. They get a lot of attacks, and that's why there are so many suicides and so much depression and things like that. But the thing is, my son has such a tender heart, and so the trick to it is, how do you put up enough walls that you don't get destroyed, but keep your heart tender? That is the how do you
that's the paradox.
that's the endeavor.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, I agree. And I think, well, I think one of the ways to approach that is to be so in touch with your soul and your being that, really all kinds of things can happen around you, but you're solid inside.
Yeah.
That sounds all good, but it's hard, and it's work to do that. It's work on yourself to do that.
Yeah. And I think one of the key, as we talk, and it's funny, you guys are all here, but it's like me and Simon are like, yeah, so we're catching up with life.
I'm sorry, Natalie, you haven't said it.
We're friends for real, so that's what's weird about this. It's like, I know Natalie's there, but I'm like, I want to talk to Simon. But let me say this before I forget to, because I'm 55, six, whatever. I'm old. Older.
You're a spring chicken.
I'm a spring chicken. All right, I'll take chicken. I'll take a spring chicken. But the thing about it is that, okay, don't let me lose it. Oh man, come on now. It'll be right there. Hold on. Is honesty, not hiding things. The thing about the fear is when you live in a place where what you say is not for real, and what you say and what you're thinking is not what you're saying. And there's a way to say, like people say, speak the truth in love. Sometimes people just speak the word truth and they slice and dice you. I know people who cut so quick because they're so honest.
Yeah.
That I feel like I got like assassinated. And it's like, I didn't even get it until I walked away. I was like, what? Hey, I'm bleeding.
Yeah.
That chick just.
Yeah.
And that is not how I live. And I love that. I'm trying, and I'm still, and as we say, it's an endeavor each day, and each time we learn new things about each other, because as I'm getting older, I'm learning more. But I find that the fear is being afraid of anything you've done in your past. And my past has to be something that I can share openly. Not every moment, not every single thing, but if it'll help you, that is what I will share. And that is, I think, a gift that God's given me, in that it helps me not be as afraid.
I'm going to Anaheim. First time I've ever been to Anaheim and not going to Disney World in my entire life. So
what's happening today is my husband is being honored by the Big Brothers of America, and we're going to Anaheim, and they are giving him an award because he's been a big brother to a lot of people, but he's being honored today.
Congratulations.
So, he also does a live. I know it's
amazing.
It really is a wonderful thing to watch him. He was also a culture creator award winner this week.
Wow.
And that is so perfect though, like that word in culture creator. And he always says a culture creator incubator.
Mentorship is everything. Mentorship is everything.
As he said, mentorship is everything. It really is about how much of a giver he really has been through his lifetime. And by the way, I want to point out I am not a Catholic priest. They just start going, Steve Hill, oh my God, Steve Hill. People call him out more than they call me out. They always are. And yet, sadly, so right.
Dude,
it's so amazing. Right, I'm sorry, let me stop. That even in the evening, the other people that were also being awarded. Oh yeah, but we've been emailing back and forth. 8 of them, 5 at least mentioned him and said, what an influence and how much they appreciated what he had done for them, and doors he had opened and connections he made. It just, I know I struggle with being who I am to people, and he has the same thing. I'm like, you're amazing. Oh my God. I'm like, it's huge cheerleader. And he's like, I never feel like it's really, but I think that's humility. But I love these kind of things because it makes us see ourselves as we are, we're not perfect. And yeah, of course, I shot for the stars and or shot for the wherever they say, but you end up where you end up, and it's not over till it's over either.
No,
There's still so
no.
much for us to do.
Yeah, there is, and a lovely thing I think's happened that's maybe wasn't so much possible when we were originally making music. I think now the world has opened up much more. There is not such a sort of
I
ageism
missed the orange skies in New York when I went back there last week. People were
There is not such
it was truly like orange skies,
a sort of a
mandarin
a
sky.
sexism or a kind of a thing
No,
where
no,
women
never,
have to
never.
look this way and only that way. Guys have to behave only in that way. It's so refreshing to see, artists of all ages and all sexualities and all kind of expressions, much more accepted. That's
Yes. Yes.
Sometimes you can think like things are really dire. At the moment, by the way, today in Toronto, this, Natalie, today is Toronto has the worst air quality in the whole world.
I did not know that.
Why? Wildfires in northern Ontario and northern Quebec. The wind is blowing in a certain way. So the air quality here, and I was out for a while, and it was hurting my throat. My eyes were getting watery. Like worse than Shanghai or Delhi or somewhere like that. Like bonkers.
Can't see too far.
And it's like
I
you
see
can think a lot of things are really pretty scary and bad. But there are many things that are also improving, and it's the yin and yang. There are many things to celebrate. There are improvements. There are good things happening. Generally speaking, human history improves, albeit slowly, improves, and we must remember that,
Chocolate
The thing
rain.
is, I am always, people go, are you political, or do I talk about politics and religion? Those are things that usually end up dividing, not sexuality.
Tay was the first YouTube
But I
video to
think
get
the
over a
thing
million
is that
views.
each
If you don't know it, you
person
should go see a chocolate rain. You'll
do
thank me next
what
week.
you can do.
Come on.
Things may get worse, and in a lot of ways, it's gonna. Just because I'm a believer in the Bible, and I believe that what the scriptures say is that a lot of things have already happened, and people may not believe, and that's okay. I'm not here to sell you on that, but what I do know is that because of greed and judgment and things like that, even in the middle of the freedom of all of those things, you have to make a difference with what's all around you. And sometimes it's not a tsunami, it's little ripples here, little ripples there, a smile when you don't really know that person and you see their face down. Sometimes I see people and I just do a little smile because it makes
such a difference. Yeah.
And you may never know. That's the other thing, is that everyone wants their accolades, but it's not always going to happen that way. What ripples you have are going to happen, and thank God for them, but you can't always know what's going to happen. But know that it affects people. It really does affect them when you smile, and even more so when they go, oh my God, that's Chanté Moore, and I go, oh hey, I try to always have that smile for them. And sometimes there's moments, if I'm with my kids or whatever,
the law should bend around him.
You guys, give me a second. Especially when the kids were young, they want to take pictures of them and stuff like that. And I really worked hard at protecting them. They were not celebrities, so I didn't want that.
The good news is he really only needs to push.
But I believe that we make a difference on a day-to-day basis. And whether I get a #1 record ever again, people are coming to hear me sing, and I'm so grateful for that. And I love seeing their faces and their smiles, and I love being able to do what I love to do for a living, and that I get to work with you still. I mean, you're here and alive.
I thought there was only one.
Those
I thought there was only one.
Jimmy Jam and
I'm sorry. You said Valeria, not Melania.
God, I mean, there's just so many people.
My bad. Never mind.
Laney Stewart and Tony Haynes, and not Tony, they're not doing, but Tricky Stewart, and I'll be seeing them soon.
Wow.
Just being able to create new sounds with my old friends, it really is gonna be amazing.
Yeah.
I just love it that we're blessed to still be here, and it may not be what we thought. I don't know what I can't hardly remember what I thought it was gonna be, but I'm just grateful that I'm still here, and I'm grateful that you're still here. You were one of the people that was from day one part of my life, and I'm just so grateful that you're still right
it's
here.
extraordinary how, you know, we really, you know, haven't spent a massive amount of time together, but you feel so bonded with somebody when you've made music, and you know, the music has gone out into the world and people know that music so well. It all feeds into this thing. I mean, when Chanté and I met up, Natalie, earlier in this year, it was a very, very, very happy
We cried. I was crying.
It was quite a powerful moment because I hadn't seen her for a long time. It's so beautiful, and I just feel very grateful for that. And I know we've got some fabulous music to make. I just know it.
Oh my God. Oh my God. We do. I'm not going to take up any more of you guys' time. I know that I came in and bombarded, and I tried to share, you know, things about us, because I know this moment is about you, Simon. You really are such a kind and giving heart, and I'm so grateful that you met Natalie, and that she also sees that in you and wants to focus and highlight and give you, as they say, flowers. But you deserve diamonds. You know, you really do. You are. You have a heart of gold. You really do. And I think that is the thing, is that our music is our children. It's like we've had kids together. So I think we'll be connected for the rest of our lives because of that.
It's true. They are. They're your babies. It's crazy.
They are our babies.
Yeah.
He's going down. He's the one going to be convicted. He's going down.
So it's good.
He's going down. He's going down. Something's going down.
I certainly hope not.
Somebody's going down.
Someone's going down.
Chanté, before you,
But it's going down. Yes, baby. Can you say what now?
before you leave, I do have a question for you, for both you and Simon.
Yes.
They do not have phones on that.
Okay.
When Love's Taking Over debuted, aired on the radio, what was that moment like? And did the two of you expect that longevity? 30 years later, people are still saying, Love's Taking Over is my favorite song. Precious is my favorite album.
No, I don't. I think I dreamt of being a musical staple. You know, that's really, you know, the superstardom is what you dream when I was 21, I think, when the music came out, 22 maybe. But all of my dreams were coming true, like, at the same time, being able to go to Paris. And I'm going to make a post, as a matter of fact, because Stephen would not let me leave Paris without doing this post, because I was on the street that I walked on during Love's Taking Over, and I was under the Eiffel Tower, and I had not been in that exact spot. I was like, holy macaroni. And I just started crying, because I started thinking about my life and the mistakes, or the things that happened. Maybe they weren't mistakes, but even if they were mistakes, it doesn't matter, because all things work together for my good. And it doesn't matter if it was like, shouldn't have did that. Yeah. So it wasn't regret, but there was some sad things that came out. I'm like, oh, my life is just on different places. But the fact that I've been able to continue to work, and people still sing ba, 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 back to me, and that come up and go, girl, I got a man too. You know, they have their songs. And I say it often, and I say it from my heart, that those are the Grammys. Those are the ones that stay with me. I may not ever see that face again, but to her, I changed something in her life. And when she and they or he, all of them, when they come and talk to me, I and it's funny, one young lady did it this past week, and I bumped Steven, and I said, that was another Grammy. He was like, I heard it. Both of us just got so excited. I was like, I got another one. So it may not happen like that, but I really am grateful that I have a schedule that says what it says, that I get to sing, and I get to give of my heart, because that is what I'm really trying to do, is give from my heart and sing songs that touch your heart. Because there was a song, I don't know who did that, who that song, a phrase that said, what comes from the heart reaches the heart. And that is what I want. And I in the beginning, I didn't know my purpose, but having been through a dark place and then come out of that place, realizing and fighting for what is my real purpose, Chanté, as a person.
Yeah.
And because Chanté, the singer, and Chanté, the person, are the same. When I'm on the stage, this is the girl I am. Whether I have hair on her, color, glitter, or whatever, makeup or not, I want to be authentic with, you know, I want to encourage your heart. I want to make sure that you know you're not alone. Even when you're sad, if you feel lonely, if you had your heart broken, if they cheated, if you've been the cheater, I've been all of those people. I am me, and it's okay. Just keep living. And that's the thing, is just to encourage more than anything ever, is to make sure you know that you're not alone.
You're saying those words, and you know the song that came into my head was Maurice's song, Keep Your Head to the sky. Keep your head to the sky. Oh, yeah. You know it's true. It's in you. That resilience is in all of us, and we can find it. You know, it gets buried sometimes and really squashed down. But yeah.
Sometimes just.
I mean, my recalling of that time was, I'd had this, Soul to Soul went ballistic, and it was just everywhere. And so I was, even before that, I was producing my own records, and I wanted to do stuff outside of the band for sure. So, I got this extraordinary opportunity to work with Chanté, and I was just, when the tune came out, and people, how well it was received, and it started to hear it everywhere, and people were playing it a lot in London. They just loved it, because to them it felt like, there was this real American artist with all this beautiful vibes, Californian soul vibes, and there's an English producer doing the music, and it was like this mashup that was just killing it, and it was just, everybody was, you just felt this beautiful, the vibes were very strong, and they, people still talk about it now, and people play it still, and that's just such a thrill,
I'm coming back as soon as I can. Overseas, I have really something about being out there. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to figure it out, because I got to come back. I remember Blues and Soul was the first time anybody ever said, "Oh, best new artist, Blues and Soul." I was like, what? They know who I am. It's just so bananas now. So because of the internet, everything is right now. Like somebody could be in London or Paris or Japan or whatever right now, looking and listening. But then it was like I reached where?
Yes, I know. Back then it was like very special that somebody from another continent, you'd link the continents, and it was very, I think, I just felt like a lot of people, it was very symbolic in that way, because
I'm not sure why I'm sideways.
It was sort of, Soul to Soul was an English group that was successful in America with R&B, which didn't happen that often.
You guys can't hear me? Can you not hear me?
And then one of the guys from Soul to Soul worked with Chanté, and then this song has come back here and it's big in London. It was just like this, how music's supposed to be, right? It's like, it doesn't know anything about borders or oceans or anything. Nothing, it just crosses all those problems.
It should not matter.
Especially when it's a fat bass line,
Yeah, baby. So listen, we have to create some moodies musically, moodies, and then get another fat bass line thing going. But what I love is, what you guys have to know is, like, he uses like the sound of birds flying. That was how that inspired me, by the way, that song. You're the wind, you're the wind, the wind, the breeze that takes me higher, is because I heard the birds in the beginning. I was like, are those are
that was
and my other personal me, I'm a lioness, but I'm also a bird. It's like that thing. It's like I love to fly. And inside, I fly in my dreams. And in that song, I'm like, oh my God, people are the wind beneath our wings. People
Social
are
media.
that. I want to be the wind between under someone else's wings. But that's a couple things that we need to make sure we infiltrate within our next little thing. And we have to spend a little more than just a day or two. We have to like, I got to just sit. That was what we used to do too.
I think part of it,
I'd come and
because
spend 2 weeks, 3 weeks there.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you know what,
she wasn't the
Chanté,
kindest.
Sony Music,
she's owned it. Some people haven't
Sony
forgotten.
Music Publishing, who I'm with, they have the most beautiful studios.
Absolutely.
Really,
But you know, as I think
so
we all
very
build
good
your family
setup
however you
here,
gotta build your
actually.
family. Build your family however you want to.
I'm
Everybody
coming.
builds it how they want to.
I'm actually so deliberately looking at my time, the open time that I have, and making sure that I seize the moments because this is the time for it. It really is the time for it. And it's happening. And it's happening. It really is in motion. And I'm really pleased that it's time. And I feel it. It's like it's an energy
Yeah, the
that is
energy
happening.
that's there. I feel it too. I feel it strongly. Yeah. Very exciting times. And I think that there's a sort of a, you know, we were young back then. I didn't know you were that young, by the way. You were 21, 22. Boy,
I was 21 when we made the song. We had to wait a little while, remember, because Lul wanted it to come out on Silas Records. So we held the record for about 6 to 8 months. And I had a birthday in that time period.
I heard the question, but I couldn't answer.
Yeah, so,
Yoshi's, if you're in the Bay Area this weekend,
I'm sort of what?
the wonderful wife is at Yoshi's
6,
for
7 years older than
Friday
you.
and Saturday. This Friday and
So,
Saturday.
you know, I
hope to see you there.
Just a little bit older, and I just feel, well, for me, I just have this energy of that sort of time of my 20s. But it's kind of an energy which is got a lot more experience and maybe sees things a bit more clearer, is less distracted by all the distractions that can come along, and you know, see, hear and visualize music quite clearly. You know, that's not always been the case, and it may not be, it fluctuates, but at the moment, oh my God, it's like I feel like I'm right in the middle of the strongest part of the flow of the river. You know,
talk to you later.
It's exciting.
And let's make sure that we also write for other people. If there was something I would go back and do, there were songs that didn't make the album. We should have been putting those on other people. Like, I don't know why we weren't even thinking about that.
No.
But
Absolutely,
I'm trying to be more conscious of that. Yeah, that really we should.
That's a lot of fun
open up some
to do
songs
as well. If you write something deliberately for somebody else, you know,
I'm gonna send a picture. I will send a picture to the group.
Because
we're both what kind of cake is. You
we've
got
both
it.
done a lot of this writing now through our lives, and you have a lot of experience to call upon, and it's like acting a role or something. You know, you can just twist it up and go somewhere very different.
Yeah. And or just do it, and then if it doesn't fit for the record, and we made it and it's extra stuff, because I mean, there's songs I need to go back and find them. You know, there's literally cassette tapes that I play that are sitting there, you know, and just gotta do something with them because they still are things in them. I go, like even Steven has talked to me about, like, oh my God, I like that song. Like, we went through a few of my tapes. I was like, this was the first time I was in my room and I was writing the song. It's the goofiest song sometimes, but some of them he's like, no.
Yeah,
there's something in that one. I like that.
Yeah, it is worth. I did a bit of that when I made my solo record, which you know was a lot deep into my career. I decided to do a debut record, which Higher is on, and that was an example of a song that was written specially for it. Yeah. But quite a lot of the songs on that record were old tunes which hadn't worked or just didn't come out with somebody else. But they'd sat around with me long enough for me to know that is a song that's a good song. You know, I've lived with it long enough now. Yeah. The ones that don't make the grade just fall away naturally. You know, they're not quite there. But the ones that do, you kind of know in your heart that's got something. That should, you know, and you have to be bold, and you know, there may be somebody who turns around and says, yeah, that's not it. No, this song, I know this song is saying this has got to be heard, you know. And it was very,
and sometimes it's just pieces, sometimes too. sometimes it's
piece
pieces
from
or
there, piece
ideas
from
and
there.
re-singing
For
things.
sure, absolutely, yeah. You with time and listen, with time, the advantage of sort of time gone by, you can see that more clearly. That section there could go with that section. Wow, that would be interesting. You know,
Yeah, we're not gonna get in it because it'll be long, but
that's
I
a
will tell you something
long-winded,
later on
very,
about it
very,
later on.
probably quite
No,
boring
but
to
I'm
other
just saying later
people.
on we're gonna talk about where some songs ended up, pieces of songs ended up in songs that we know right now.
Nobody else
But
has
what?
heard.
They have not heard it, or they don't know that it came from something
You know,
else.
it's like trying to
But that's
describe
what
a
the
movie
beauty
to
is.
somebody and you can't remember the title of the movie, you can't remember the actors, you can't remember anything.
They're like, but it was so good.
You know, that movie with Thingy in it, you know, and
But you know that guy, and then the girl who had the red hair. I think I don't know. She said blue.
and you
I
see
don't know.
you in front of you, you see people just switching off, going,
Like, you're lost.
lost the crowd, man.
It's like read the room, man.
We're
Read
losing
it.
people.
That happens in my show sometime, and I go, hey, it's part of live show. Let's go
Yeah.
next time. Let's go. Okay, I'm sorry. I can do that easily. I get lost. Well, speaking of shows, please come and see me this weekend. I'll be at Yoshi's the 30th of June, 1st of July. I don't remember where I'm going with that, but I did enjoy my show with Patti LaBelle and Miss Gladys Knight. What an amazing night that was! Just to open for the two of them and see them and get to hug them and just I just couldn't. I don't even know how to post. I just was like, oh my god, this is just mind blowing. But please do come see me. There's going to be so much more happening. I'm excited and I'm just happy and pleased to see you, Simon. We love to FaceTime. I'm always like, I look terrible. Just call me on the phone. But I put makeup on today. Because I don't want to scare anybody, you know. But blessings to
Blessings
you and
to
blessings to
you.
you, Natalie. And kiss your wife for me.
Yes.
She's a jewel as
Yeah.
well. And just keep doing what you're doing, man. We're gonna make some new memories,
Yes.
some
Yes.
new music that is gonna we'll love it. And if nobody else does, we are
Oh,
going to enjoy ourselves.
we'll be great.
And because that's what it's about, is making it and knowing that it's the best we can do. Whether anybody else hears it, you know, I didn't really know what was going to happen before it happened. Who knew Love's Taking Over would still be
You
the
don't
song I
know.
open with, and they go,
That took you a leap of faith, and you just say, "This is pretty much as good as I can do right now." Okay, off you go.
"This is it,
Off we
buddy."
go. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
yeah.
Yeah.
So do your best every day.
Yeah.
That's all you can do.
And congratulations to Stephen. Really, that's pretty amazing. Very good. Well done, mate. You know.
Yes, they're saying congratulations to you. He's not hearing me as his what's in. Oh, he did hear. He said, "Thank you very much." Thank you very much.
All right. Well, lots of love. See you soon. Yeah.
See you soon. Not soon enough, but
Bye.
soon.
Bye.
My love. Bye.
Oh my goodness, that was fun.
Amazing. Oh my, I felt like a fly on the wall. Like I could listen to the two of you talk forever.
Oh, you're very sweet, Natalie. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I was reading the comments as you guys were talking, and when Chanté used to do her Sunday lives, this is what people loved the most. Where she would come on and she would just, she would sing in between, but she's preaching, she's talking to us about life. It's very relatable. And then again, it transcends into the life today with the two of you, because even Megan Red Gal was saying, like, that true friendship is there. And even for you to join the live today shows just the strength of your friendship and how much you do love each other. And this date 30 years back.
I know, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty crazy to think how long it's been, but friendship and music doesn't have any kind of sell by date or time. The years don't really matter, it's just there. I know the music that we're going to do is going to be very special. The music we've swapped already is very, very cool, and we'll be in a studio soon, and looking forward for you to all hear it.
That was going to be my next question, and I feel like that's our ears.
I don't have any, I don't have any dates or anything, but we'll be getting together, and I think it sounds like Chanté will come up here to Toronto for a bit. So, you know, we'll be in the studio here, and yeah, that's going to be such a joy to a lot of music is now made very remotely,
Yes.
you know, but nothing beats it when you sit down in a room together and you really get into the fine nuances and the way to shape something. You know, it's very special, that part of the process.
Oh, I volunteer myself when she comes to document the journey, because I feel like this has to go for the history books.
Volunteer, yes, absolutely. That would be so good, actually, to document that. Yes, wouldn't it? Very good. Yeah.
My whole
Good idea.
when it comes to music, I always say, like, I'm like maybe like a 50-year-old trapped in like a 25-year-old's body, because I'm like, as much as I like the music of today, nothing beats the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, the 60s. And then to still see, one, we're losing a lot of legends, but to see the legends that are still here, to see them getting their flowers. You were talking about you kind of getting that second wind. And when Chanté was here, we had the same conversation as well, where she's like, she's even getting her third wind.
Yeah. When you hear these clips of her singing now, she's always been a remarkable singer.
Mm-hmm.
But as a musician and as a person who's worked a lot with some very fine singers, I think Chanté is a really extraordinary artist now. Her voice has gone to another level beyond the other level. You know, it's very interesting. Some singers, their voices, you know, don't deteriorate, but they don't really, you know, they don't improve.
No.
Dante's voice is just kind of, it knows no bounds, it seems to me. And that's very interesting, because then you have a lifetime of experience that goes into the songwriting as well, you know, and so songs become deeper, and then a voice to sort of to match those sentiments and those expressions. I think the world is her oyster. She's got a very fine record to make, you know, that I think will really be exciting for people to hear, you know, and that's just on trust, because I just know the person, and I think she's got extraordinary stories to tell in her music. And now this voice, which was already amazing, but now it's got this sort of other quality as well.
Yeah.
It's amazing, you know, quite extraordinary.
It's to really see that, like you said, the voice has, like she even said herself, like, the voice has matured. She's taking care. She took care of her instrument, and she still is.
Yes. Yeah, that's very, very apparent. Yeah. Yeah. And so empowering and kind of inspiring for people to see, you know, we can be very youth obsessed in our culture, you know, and of course the youth are very, very important, but everyone is important, you know. And you know what I'm trying to say here, I just think it's inspiring to see, you know, if you're a young artist and you're starting out and you see someone who's Chanté's age, you know, still flying around with the voice and doing all that stuff, it's that's something to aim towards, you know. That's very inspiring. You know, instead of just being with your peers and you're kind of competitive with your peers, you know. If you see this mature artist there and look what they're doing, that's what I could be if I carry on with this, you know. It's very inspiring. I mean, I know that from my own life, you know. The people I've always looked up to, I've sort of, Maurice is probably the pinnacle for me, you know, somebody I've always just tried to follow in their footsteps in the as best way I can, you know, and learn from, because they were so much more experienced and so much mature than I was, you know. And now I'm kind of the age that he was when I mean, it's human life, right? It's just
Well, you know what? And this is, I guess, us eavesdropping into Steven's conversation, but he had mentioned mentorship. And I think that's the key ingredient that a lot of us are missing today. We need that mentorship. We need to respect, not like respect our elders, but respect our elders, respect those who came before us, who paved that way. And I think everyone's trying to be like, oh, well, I started this first. It's all about me. But it's like, it's really not.
It's really not. No. Yeah, I think knowing history and she story. You know, history is the wrong word. It's it's beyond gender. You know, it's very important to study that and be aware and keep up with that, because we, you know, so much can be learned from history. And I just think sometimes people lose that, you know, in the fight to, or the trying to stay hip and stay, you know, current and stay in the right, popular, and in the moment. You can lose sight of you're just part of a flow. You know, you're just a little part of this flow.
Yeah.
You know, you be aware of where you are in that flow. You know.
It's kind of,
yeah, the analogy of the river is very powerful to me. You know.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah. I always look at it and I feel like, again, I see this. I haven't interacted with Chanté online versus in person. It's very true. She is the same person, whether she's on stage or off. But it's also like how human she is.
Yeah.
And for, I actually went to Chanté's show in Oakland last year at Yoshi. So that was my first time seeing her live and meeting her. And then when I came back and my mom was like, you know, how was the concert? How was it like meeting Chanté? I did like my whole solo trip in California. And I'm like, I always say, like, you know, I like this artist, but she deserves, I'm a fan of hers. It's
The person, yeah.
right? She's not like, okay, like I'm done, I'm a diva, this and that. It's like, thank you for coming. I appreciate, like she said, every person who sees the show, every person Grammy. And I think that's like, there's a lot of key ingredients that I feel like not a lot, but there are new artists that are missing, like we're saying. And I'm hoping that as time goes on, it kind of comes back and they find their way, because you don't know what tomorrow will bring.
No, absolutely, yeah, it's very true. And I think it's so important to be in the moment. This moment, it's the only time we have is right now. This moment. You know, who knows what's going to happen, and the past is done. So, you know, it's very important to remember that. And making music and being in the creative process, you can't help but sort of be present. And that's why I'm so grateful to be able to be doing this, even at this stage of my life still, you know, and be so, because it really helps me to be very present. And otherwise you can get sidetracked by any number of things.
Yeah.
You know? And,
especially the numbers game.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. You know, and she mentioned the screens that we have. You know, these things can really, they're very powerful things that we have, and they can really suck us down rabbit holes. You know. And, I mean, this is a great use of the screen, or how we're sharing here. This is a lovely use of it.
Absolutely.
But you know, it's just to be quiet and still with oneself and to connect with your inner consciousness is very, very important, you know. Yeah.
Oh, Simon, I feel like we're definitely gonna have to do a part 2 very soon. But before we go, tell everyone again a little bit about where they can find. I always tell people, tell them where they can do a check, how they can support you, find your music. If you're in Toronto, come out and listen to you DJ. Let everyone know.
Yeah. So, you know, all my music is in all the usual places to stream. You can find you can look under Simon Law for my solo music, and then all the different artists that I've worked with. I have a website that's not massively well maintained. I really should improve that, but funkyginger.com. And I'm doing a little bit more DJing these days, which I really love. I play vinyl only.
Yes.
And actually, on Friday, Ronnie Charlemagne, who's a DJ here in Toronto, and we have this night at the Oni Cafe here in the East End of Toronto where I live. And it's a really lovely spot. So if you want to hear some 70s funk, soul, reggae, disco, that really juicy stuff, you know, that's what we'll be playing. And it's all vinyl. And that's a lot of fun. I have a band with my partner Jen, who Chanté mentioned. That's more in sort of like folk kind of area. Jen is a fine songwriter, singer-songwriter. We do stuff. We're about to go away on holiday, so there's nothing right to let you know about. But if you look up Jen Schaefer and the Shiners, our stuff is out there too on social media and whatever. We've made a couple of albums as well. What else is there? There's new music I'm working on. There's an artist called Congo Natty, who's a junglist artist. He used to be Rebel MC, who I worked with. Now he's Congo Natty. I'm doing some music with him, and an artist as well called Constantine Weir from the UK. Very exciting to be working with those guys. I don't know. There's lots of things happening always. You can find me on social media, either Funky Ginger or Simon Law. That's probably the best place because I try and update those more than my website, to be honest. So, you know, check me out there and reach out if you want. Send me a message on Instagram or Facebook. I'm happy to engage with people. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, you guys make sure you follow at Funky Ginger. That is Simon Law. In case you are joining us a little bit late, you missed Chanté, but you can always watch the replay. Simon joined us today to talk about his musical career and his time working with Chanté. So make sure you head over to his page. New music coming soon with him and Chanté, so you know I'm excited.
For sure.
If you're in Toronto, definitely come out and support Simon. And yeah, just thank you so much for agreeing to do this live and for staying on with us.
Oh, a pleasure. Thank you so much, Natalie. You know, it's lovely that you've started this this page and honoring Chanté, and I can tell how much she's you know is appreciative and grateful to you too. That's beautiful, and you know, just big ups, and it's wonderful. Thank you, and thank you for inviting me on. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, and big up yourself too. We always have to put a little Jamaican in there. I love it.
Is that your heritage? Your family originally from Jamaica?
Yeah, both mom and dad. Beautiful. So I'm through the veins.
Well, you know, we were mentioning Lane, who sang on Higher and is a long time collaborator. He's a Brit, but his parents both originate from Toronto, from Jamaica. And actually, here's an interesting thing to check out. We did an album for Sony Music Publishing, which is like library music, really. But they put all this stuff on the streaming platforms. If you look up Simon Law and Lane Gray, and I think it's called Reggae Got Soul, or Soulful Reggae. There's some tunes there that we did together, which are really straight ahead reggae, and that's beautiful stuff.
Oh, I'll
be
listening to that as soon as we hop off. I already have it on the computer.
Yeah, Lane is an amazing singer. Some of you might know him. He's the singer. There was a UK garage tune called Battle. That was huge in the UK, late 90s, and that's Lane singing that tune, and he was in the group New Colours. He's also done a lot of theatre work as well. He's a very talented man.
Amazing. I see. I hope all of you guys have been taking notes throughout this live, because we all know.
There's threads reaching out all over the place.
Oh my gosh. Amazing. I'll make sure I do not lose that. Oh,
I'll send you the link. Actually, I'll put the link to that album up there. I'm an Apple Music user, but like if you I'll put the link there, but you can find it on Spotify and all the other places.
Anywhere. We'll definitely share it, you guys. If it's on Spotify, you know we're going to share it to the stories. You guys can take it as well.
Mm.
Oh, look at the comments. Thank you guys so much just for the love and sticking it with us today.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Today, oh my gosh.
I haven't been able to keep tabs with it. They've just been flying by, but it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Very, very grateful to everybody. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm gonna let you go. Have some dinner.
Yep.
And we'll
Absolutely. It's about that time.
Yeah.
Tommy's rumbling.
Always. Bye.
Okay, Natalie. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Bye. Bye.